Good evening, all. I am Diashka Savant, and welcome to our exciting series of Terrific Tuesdays on the Singhania School YouTube Live, a channel of the Silonians, by the Silonians, and for the Silonians. These sessions help us to explore various topics and learn new things. Well, it has been a time of uncertainty for all of us, and yet we've managed to keep ourselves strong and determined. In the light of the same, through today's session, we shall understand more about emotional well being and staying positive in bleak times from our very own Miss Ravina Jha ma'am with the topic I Matter. She is the ISC English language teacher with over 23 years of experience in the field. Like Martin Luther King rightly said, we must accept finite disappointment, but we must never lose infinite hope. Let's take a step towards positivity and hope for the goodwill of ourselves and others. So, what are we waiting for? Over to you, ma'am.
Good afternoon. A very warm welcome to all the viewers. Thank you, Diashka. Today, I take this opportunity to thank our Director Principal, Mrs. Revati Srinivasan, for having given us teachers, for having given me this opportunity to express ourselves on this platform. So today, without further ado, I would straight away hop onto the topic that says, I matter. This is all for all you youngsters there. I matter. Most of us, as adolescents, as young individuals, have felt this. Do I really matter? Where is it that I belong? With so much of criticism around, am I safe growing up? What is it that I really need to do? Considering and pondering on all of these, we begin today's session that says, I matter. How do we stay positive in these bleak times of today? How many times have you felt this? Worthless, useless. How many times have you heard this? That you are of no use, you are of no worth. How many times have you seen yourself through the eyes of those who don't value you, who don't know your worth, and you value their opinion about your own self? You value their opinion who do not value your own worth, who actually do not even know your worth, who do not think you to be more than a speck, a dirt. Yes, this. To all the adult viewers there, to all the parents there, I would like to ask, does this ring a bell? Have you not heard this from your youngsters? How often have we heard this from our youngsters, our younger ones, our adolescents? How many times have they shrugged their shoulders and said, they don't care, no one cares, so why should I bother? Nobody actually cares, so I shouldn't, and I will not bother. But is that true? In our heart of hearts, we know it isn't true. But then how do we make them understand? Well, let's see. At this point, I want to share a personal story with you. As a young child, I often pondered, looking at the trees around in my neighborhood, that all those yellow leaves on the trees, there are so many of them, but when they fall, not all of them fall together. only a few fall at a time. Is it that the tree does not bother? Is it that the tree is selective? Pondering several times, looking at these trees, I once asked my mother, and then my mother answered on one of those few walks that we had together as a child, my mother and I. She answered to me, no, it isn't that way. What you need to do is change your perspective. The tree does bother about the leaves. And that's exactly the reason, in spite of being yellow, some of them are still on the branches. How will it not? It forms its foliage. It causes its well being. It gives nutrition to it. How will it not bother for the leaves? Then she took me to a place where the ground was covered with leaves, all fallen leaves all over the ground. You could not see the earth. All you could see was something like this. And then she told me, now see your perspective. What is the worth of these fallen trees? Fallen leaves, I'm sorry, fallen leaves. They left their connection with the tree, with the branch, to adorn the ground because they are no longer needed to adorn the tree. They now adorn the ground. See how aesthetically picturesque this picture is. Had it not been for the fallen leaves? So, yes, even the fallen leaves matter. Every speck, every element in this universe matters. After all, matter is what we are made of, isn't it? How many of you? I think most of you. Yes, you know her, Deepika Padukone. How many of you aspire to be like her? And there are many who pine for her. Yes, Deepika Padukone has been that celebrity who shared her battle with depression, with the nation, with the globe, with the earth, with the world. She wasn't ashamed because she wanted others to seek help. If she could seek help, she wanted others also to seek help. And that is why she shared her story that she was depressed at one point of time in life. See what she has to say. Being sad and being depressed are two different things. And people going through depression don't look any different, they look the same. It's just that people who are sad will look sad. The most common reaction that she got was, how can you be depressed? You have everything going well for you. You are the number one heroine there. You have a plush home, you have car, you have movies at your choice. What else do you want? And all this at the time when she was at the zenith of her career. When she was at the zenith of her career, she had been portraying happy roles on screen. And no one ever knew that deep down under she was feeling miserable. She was feeling torn apart. How many times have we felt this? How many times have we seen people, have we heard people ask us, are you okay? People intensely asking us, people casually asking us, our family, our friends. How many times have we heard them? And what do we answer? Oh, I'm okay. I'm okay. Is that the truth? No. Yet, we insist that it is the truth. We put on a fake smile when deep down we are feeling so very miserable. But we are afraid. Afraid of what? Afraid of criticism. Afraid to be judged. Afraid to be viewed in the wrong light. Here, I want you to take the example of this man. I hope all are aware of this man. Thomas Alva Edison. Yes, the man who helped light up the world by inventing the light bulb. As a young child, I'll share his story with you. As a young child, he came home with a letter in his hand. His school teacher had given him a letter for his mother, and his mother reads out the letter to him. With tearful eyes, she reads, "Your son is a genius. The school is too small for him and doesn't have enough good teachers for training him. Please teach him yourself." And then began the work of a mother. She started training him, started teaching him, and she left no stone unturned to such an extent that her son went on to give this invention of the light bulb to the world. Today, if we can say if the world is lit up, it's because of this scientific curiosity that Edison's mother kindled in him. And he kindled this bulb for us. Years later, when Edison was going through the old things in his house, looking for some family belongings, family remembrance, he gets this note, the original letter, which actually said, "Your son is adult, mentally ill. We won't let him come to school anymore." This was actually the letter. Had it not been for Edison's mother, Edison would have considered himself worthless because that is what he was being told. But not only did he make himself worth so much more, but also etched his name in history. How many times have we seen this? We are criticized for everything we do, for everything we don't do, everything we say, everything we don't say, for every action or even a reaction. We are criticized by everyone around us, our parents, teachers, at our workplace. How many times have we heard this? And then what do? We understand all of these perceptions of somebody else as our own, and we internalize these. We start thinking, it's all my fault, isn't it? And we extend it to such a level that our inner being starts criticizing, starts acting like those around us, the ones that are around us, the ones who are constantly criticizing us, our neighbors, our friends, our peers, our seniors, our juniors, for everything that belongs to us, our thoughts, our ideas. Many a times, this is how we feel. And then, what do we do? What do we do to avoid all this? How many times have we seen people break at this point because they have been showered not with love, mind you, not with love, with criticism. So what do we do? Yes, to avoid criticism, do nothing, nothing at all. Do nothing, say nothing, be nothing. Do not try to prove yourself to someone who doesn't value your worth. At this point, I ask you not to be vain, but to be aware. You should know, you should balance your positives with your criticism. What they are saying, is it true? All the time being criticized for, is all of this criticism true? So, how do we keep ourselves intact? Rather, how should we keep our inner well being intact? Reiterate to yourself, I love me. I love myself. I love I. Here, to elaborate this point, I want you to understand this. Look at the picture of this egg, a broken egg. Obviously, someone has applied force to such an extent that it breaks in two. There is a loss of life. A life is lost. Now, consider the same egg. What if the force is from within? A life appears. So, this is what we need to do. We need to build our shells so strong that any amount of external force in the form of criticism does not affect us negatively. It should affect us positively. I do not say that you do not take criticism at all. Sometimes it's important to take criticism so as to improve yourself. But along with that, most importantly, you have to be intrinsically motivated. Intrinsic motivation is the best motivation of all times. You remember the story of Arunima Sinha, the Indian national volleyball player who lost both her legs in a very fatal accident, a train accident to be precise. But did that break her? Did it break her spirit? She met with an accident in April 2011, and within a span of 2 years, just 2 years, she took herself to being the first female amputee to scale the Mount Everest. So, what motivated her? External motivation? Of course not. There was none to motivate her. Although there were many to tell her that her career has come to a standstill, or rather, it's over forever. Did she listen to them? No. She was intrinsically motivated. The strength of the inner will. And that is how she began a new life. And today she is known not as a national volleyball player, but as a mountaineer. She scaled the Mount Everest and many other mountains have been scaled by her. And that is what she has made of her life. At this point, I want you to do a small activity. Bring out 2 pieces of paper and a pen. On your left, you need to keep On your left, you write the paper on your left, jot down all the things that you can do. It could be as simple a thing as filling a bottle without spilling water. You fill water in a bottle without spilling any drop of water. Or doing up your bed early in the morning as soon as you wake up. Or lending a listening ear to a friend of yours. Or something as simple as smiling at each one that you passed by today. Or as a general rule, you do that often. It could be. And the paper on your right will have the list of things that you think you cannot do. So go ahead, take a minute's time and do this. I wait here. Every simple, even if you think it is a very silly activity, write it down. Write down things that you can do. If you are able to make a bowl of Maggi for yourself, do that. Write it down. Make a mention of it. If you can tie your shoelaces properly, make a mention of it. If you can offer a comforting word to any sad friend, neighbor, family member, make a mention of it. Yes, our minute is done and now I want you to stop. Now see the two papers. The paper on your left probably has more things on the list than the paper on your right. On the right, you have things that you feel you cannot do. Yes? Now, read those, go through them, and tell me, are these really the things you cannot do? Or these are words that have been poured into your head. You have been told that you cannot do these things, and that is what you believed. You have believed somebody else's perception of your own self. So this is what praises do, and this is what criticism does to us. As you can see, praises are colorful and criticism fatal. So what you will do now is tear that piece of paper into bits and dump it into the dustbin, the nearest that you can find. That is the worth of it. You need no criticism. We already have enough critics in the world. We need appreciators. So how do we develop this in ourselves? We reinforce the positives. We lock it in our mind. And how do we do it? We repeat it over and over and over and over. When we have to work hard to make our life, to shape our destiny, to shape our persona, why should we make an effort for dirt? If we have to do the digging, why don't we dig for gold? Why for that dirt? So how do we do it? There are three ways. The first is thought stopping. Next is self-belief. And then we need to find ways to boost our self-confidence. Let us go about it and learn more. How do we do this? How do we stop a thought from entering our mind? Thoughts enter our mind just like that. It's like your breath. So ask yourself, the moment a thought appears in your mind, ask yourself, Is this really true? Would a person say this to anybody? If not, why am I saying this to myself? How rude is this? Why am I being so rude to my own self? What do I get out of this kind of thinking? If it makes me feel so bad about my own self, why don't I stop thinking about it? To understand, you need to believe. You must believe, first and foremost, that you are good enough. You are worth it. You are going to win even before you start. When you read the inspirational stories of so many sports persons, you get to understand their win first begins in their mind. All win is first here. Every match, every race is first won here and then on the field. Why do we have to do it? Because what you really believe will happen, you may say that you feel it will happen, but in your heart of hearts, you believe, oh God, I am not so perfect at it. I cannot do it. So this is not going to work out. So what is playing in your mind? It cannot work out. It cannot work out. And what are you saying to the others? Oh, it will work out. So, whatever is your real belief, what you really believe will happen, is exactly what will happen. We need to establish a good self esteem. It's very imperative at this moment. We need to learn to be resilient and we have to bounce back. There are numerous examples. For example, Roger Federer, how many injuries he has had, and every time he has bounced back. Very much our own Yuvraj Singh battled cancer and he was back on the field. There are so many of them. We need to build a sense of humor. This is of paramount importance. Why? Because humor is that salt which makes the most bitter dish palatable, or rather, which makes the most bitter words palatable. So use a dash of humor and take responsibility of your life instead of blaming others. Oh, I was late today. What would I do? Nobody woke me up in the morning. Why will anybody wake you up in the morning? It's your life. It's your new day. You need to wake up. We need to build a good self-esteem in our minds. We need to believe that we are worth something. Here's something I want to share with you people. How do we raise our vibration? What's exactly vibration? Sometimes you must have noticed when a person enters the room, you feel like being in that person's vicinity for a longer time. Sometimes, some people, when they enter the room, you feel like exiting as soon as possible or make them exit. What is this? This is the aura of the person, the vibration that he emits. Nowadays, we have so many devices that even measure. It's called the aura measuring device. They measure your vibration. And the more self esteem, stronger that we have, the greater our vibration. So, how do we increase our vibration? Here's a list of all that you can do to increase your vibration and all that you need to stop doing because that's lowering your vibration and hence making you vulnerable to so much criticism, making you feel worthless. This is another thing I want you to understand. We need to develop an attitude of gratitude. Gratitude should become a habit. Thanksgiving should not happen just on the last Thursday of November. No, no. It should happen each day. It should happen each day. There are n number of things that we can be grateful about. We can be thankful about. This is a list I want to share with you people. It's actually a personal list for myself, and I'm sharing this with you. As you see, in this list I have a column made for people, for things, for movies, qualities, for books, for moments that I have been grateful for. In my life, I meet so many people, and I have a valid reason to be grateful to them for something or the other. And if you notice, I have two columns for people, two columns for things, because the number of people I'm grateful to can't be accommodated in one column. There are so many things we can be grateful about. Say, for example, this the present scenario, this electricity that we take for granted, this Wi-Fi that has made this session possible. We should be grateful for it. We should be thankful to all those who have made this possible. There are n number of inspirational movies. The latest being, say, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. It helped me analyze a lot of good things. Do give it a try. There are n number of things that you can be grateful about. I am just enlisting some of them. At this time, at this point, I want to share with you this poem by Shane Gorkin. The worst day ever. I want you to do the reading along with me. Today was the absolute worst day ever. And don't try to convince me that there's something good in every day. Because when you take a closer look, this world is a pretty evil place. Even if some goodness does shine through once in a while, satisfaction and happiness don't last. And it's not true that it's all in the mind and heart, because true happiness can be obtained only if one's surroundings are good. It's not true that good exists. I'm sure you can agree that the reality creates my attitude. It's all beyond my control. And you'll never in a million years hear me say that today was a good day. Now, how do you feel? Miserable, isn't it? The worst day ever. Nothing went right. Everything went wrong. Nothing went as I desired or as I planned. And I am at the fag end of the day. There's not much left to be done. I want you at this moment to read the same poem from the bottom to the top. Today was a good day. And you'll never in a million years hear me say that it's all beyond my control. My attitude creates the reality. I'm sure you can agree that it's not true that good exists only if one's surroundings are good. True happiness can be obtained because it's all in the mind and heart. And it's not true that satisfaction and happiness don't last. Some goodness does shine through once in a while. Even if this world is a pretty evil place, because when you take a closer look, there's something good in every day. And don't try to convince me that today was the absolute worst day ever. So, how do you feel now? Same miserable or a little uplifted? The same thing. What changed was our perception. What changed was the lens with which we were viewing it. Because happiness is the ultimate aim of all human existence. All that we do and we don't do is to attain happiness. It is the ultimate destination of the whole pursuit, what we call life. So, happiness can only be achieved with a grateful heart and a peaceful mind. And that is what we need to try to build. And now, to practice what I preach, I would like to thank our Director Education and Principal, Mrs. Revati Srinivasan, for having given me this opportunity to share my views with all you young hearts there. Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, the whole team, all those who made this possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Ravina ma'am, for shedding light on a very pertinent topic in this time of uncertainty and confusion. Quoting the wise Aristotle, it is during our darkest moments we must focus to see the light. And I'm sure the viewers walk away from this experience brighter and much more knowledgeable. A small thing to remember to ensure your mental well being and of those around you is to, if possible, take time each day and to be with your family. For example, try arranging a fixed time to eat dinner together. Well, on that note, we come to the end of another truly enlightening session. But before logging off, remember to click the bell icon and subscribe to this channel so that you keep getting notifications about the different sessions whenever we go live. Do join us on Friday as we will be back with another exciting session on the Singhania YouTube live platform, which is a platform of the Salonians, by the Salonians, and for the Salonians. Thank you and have a wonderful evening ahead.